Hello everyone, my name is Satish Nikam and today I'm here to present my project for the course Internet of Things. So my project name is IoT based weather station using NodeMCU. Uh, I'll start with the objective. So the first objective was to create a personal weather station that monitors the temperature, humidity, pressure, and the light intensity of a room, which also which is used to upload the data on the web server and also display it on the OLED display. Uh, I have used the NodeMCU with the Wi-Fi module to post the data on the web server and to upload it on a OLED display. So on the web server, we can see the temperature, humidity, and the light data. And the OLED display, we will see the temperature data. So the motivation for the project was, as we all know, that there is a limited way for us to know about the current temperature and humidity and the light data. Uh, it can happen we in the Binghamton in when there is a snow. So when we are in the heater for the longer time and when suddenly we go out, so there is a change of temperature and the humidity. So we need to know the what's the current humidity of our room. We can get the data of outside but not of our room. So that was the main motivation, that it can get the data of temperature and the humidity, so that uh, user can't be alarmed if there is the temperature is very high or the humidity is very high. So also, we cannot there is a difficulty in making the weather forecast without the data. So we can store the data and we can use the like we as a data logger, and we can use the machine learning for it. So that was the main motivation for the project. Now I'm going to explain the block diagram, and after that I'll show you the working of the code and the hardware. So the block diagram consists of node MCU, you can see, uh, which is the microcontroller I have used. So the humidity sensor, temperature sensor, and pressure sensor is connected to the node MCU, which which process the data and like read the data from the sensor and process the data to the OLED part. And with the help of Wi-Fi module, it is connected to the internet, and which again used to post the data on the web server. Here we will see the output, the demo part.
So now we are going to see the actual circuit. Right in the middle, the node MCU is connected, and here you can see there is a light sensor. Also, the OLED is connected, and as you can see, the SCL and SDA pin of OLED is connected to the 3 and 4 pins of node MCU. Also, the 3-volt supply is given from the node MCU to the OLED and also for the rest of the sensors. Uh, Here it is the BMP 180 temperature sensor, and this one is DHT 11 sensor. So now we will see the code and how it is working.
So now we will look at the code, what I have done. So basically I'll explain the whole code later in the later part in the presentation. For now, what I'm going to explain is how the Wi-Fi connection is done and how the data is uploaded to the web server part. So here you can see I have compiled the code and uploaded to the node MCU, and so the node MCU will use the Wi-Fi module. So for the node MCU to get connected to the internet, I have given my SSID and password for it. So this is the ThinkSpeak web server we are going to use. Now we will look at the ThinkSpeak server. What I will do is I'll log in to the ThinkSpeak server, and I have already created private channel for it. Here we go. So I have created the private channel for it. So the node MC is already connected and we should be getting the data uh, here. So what we will go do is go to the public view. So you can see here we have already created the weather station. So this is the temperature data, this is humidity and the light data. Now what we will do is we will check the data on the OLED part and how it is displaying on that.
We will see the data on the OLED part now. So I have a external battery here. Now what I will do is connect the node MCU to the external battery. I have already uploaded the code on the node MCU. So now I'm going to connect node MCU to the external power bank, and as you can see you will see the LED that it will show that it is going to connect to the Wi-Fi. Here it is trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. It is now showing the, it will take a while to refresh the date. Now it is showing the current temperature and the data for the past 3 days what it was, and it will show the date and the time. So this is the current temperature again, and the data for the past 3 days.
So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the hardware requirement. So the hardware requirement is Node MCU, the BMP 180 pressure sensor, DHT 11 humidity sensor, and the Wi-Fi module is inbuilt in the Node MCU. Also, we require a power supply with the micro USB, so we can just upload the data to the Node MCU and we can place the weather station wherever we want. I have used the Node MCU for the project because NodeMCU is an open source development board and it is specially targeted for the IoT based application. Also, because it has the inbuilt Wi-Fi module in it and which I have used in my project. So the NodeMCU is compatible with the Arduino IDE as well. And so we can do the code in Arduino IDE, and it is very easy to use. We can just connect to the like I have shown in the figure. We can just connect it to the port and we can flash the node MCU and then we can use as per our requirement. So there are here you can see these are the sensors I have used and these are the components before connecting it. So this is the BMP 180 sensor, this is DHT 11 and this is the light sensor. So I have chose all these sensors and even in this OLED display because it requires 3 volt V in the input and which I can give the input from the node MCU part. Here you can see the connection. So mm, I will explain the connection a little bit here. So the OLED is connected. Here are the pins. So the SDA and SCL, the data pins are connected to the 3 and 4 of Node MCU, and the VIN is given from the Node MCU as well. For DHT 11, I have connected this to the D5 of the Node MCU for the data pin, and same for the VIN. 3 volt is given from the Node MCU board itself. For the BMP sensor, the SDA and SCL pin is again connected to the D3 and D4, same as OLED display. And even same for the light sensor, the SDA and SCL pin are connected to the 3 and 4 port pin of the Node MCU. So the software requirement was Arduino IDE, which I have used to do the coding part. and the web server platform, I have used the ThinkSpeak web server to post the data, the sensor data online. Also, I have used in a future scope, we can use Google Sheet for the data to post on. We can use it as a data logger. Now, so for the Arduino IDE, we have like you can see here, I have chose the board NodeMCU. I have installed the libraries for it, and then here you can see it is connected to the port 3. Uh, so explain a code a little bit here. So what I have done is these are the Wi-Fi creds required for it. So NodeMCU is gonna use these Wi-Fi to get connected, and then I have written the code which will initialize the wiring. First, it will check for the if there is any error kind of thing, and if there is no error, then this is for the OLED display. So it will set up the OLED display for the printing, and if it's connected, the OLED will first try, and it will show that connecting to the Wi-Fi, and if it's connected, it will display the done output. So the loop part, I'm reading the temperature for every 5 seconds. So for every 1 minute, I'm going to upload the data on the web server. Same for the light, and again for the pressure sensor. Uh, I'm doing the same. This is the output. You can see there is a weather station, so you can check there are three tabs. So first is the temperature, the current temperature of room, the humidity, and the light. So I've used ThinkSpeak uh, for the web server part, which is used for the again we can check the trends here. So what were the trends? What are the trends? We can check it here. And coming to the last slide. So this, like I have said in the code, I have done like if when it is trying to connect to the Wi-Fi, it will show it is connected to the Wi-Fi. After that, it will display the message done, and then it will display that updating weather. So it will take some time to load the current weather, and here you can see that it is displaying the current temperature of the room. So what we can do is we can just upload the code to the node MCU and connect the circuit to the external power supply, or you can say you can connect it to the power bank, and you can place it anywhere you want. Coming to the future scope, machine learning can be used to train the model and predict the weather data. So even like the data which is coming from the sensor, we can use Google Sheet platform to store the data, and it is also used as a data logger. The same data can be given to the machine learning model, and the more data we have, the better prediction we can have it in that. Also, I've tried to do the HTTP server, private HTTP server. So as like you can see in the figure that it can be hosted, the same data can be hosted on the private IP as well. So what we can do is we can host it on a private IP, and then with the help of some code, we can trigger uh, the machine learning model if there is any sudden change in the temperature, or the temperature is not in the range, or it is very high, or the humidity is very low or very high. So it can be used for that. Again, we can even set up an alarm like the buzzer with node MCU. So like if there is any parameters are not in the regular limit, the buzzer will indicate the user that something is not uh, good. So it can be used as that as well. Again, we can use the like in the heater or the AC in the house, which will automatically adjust according to the data. Like if the temperature is very high, then it will lower the temperature, or it will turn on the AC, and if the temperature is below some threshold, so it will turn on the heater. So these are the future scope. I think it can be done. And thank you so much for listening.